Hi, this is Alan Edwards, and I'm going to show you the basic RaceBox PC board and talk a little about additional functions that you might add and show you what you might load to get it working. This is the basic board ready to go. Now this one has the GPS, of course the Edison, the interface chip, the first interface chip, and it has the driver for a wired LCD display. The latest design will also work with a wireless LCD display, but this is the simplest because you just wire it up to this LCD chip. So now I'm going to take some of these. The GPS itself is pretty simple. You just put it on this these breakout headers, male and female, and put the female on the board and the male in the GPS. There's also a battery. It's a little tricky to solder. I'll talk about that too. So let me get to the Edison. I'm going to take the screws out. There's a standoff there which is just slightly under ½ an inch. I think it's 0.45 inches. You can convert that to millimeters if you want. Or you can take a ½ inch one and grind it down. It might even work with a ½ inch one. So there are lots of combinations of pins that you can load. Here's the Edison right side up, and I'm going to turn it around, and there you can see the pins that I loaded. See how close I can get. I probably loaded more than you have to, but it's just convenient to load. You can load them all if you want. It's just more soldering, and it's a little tricky to solder on this board, so I like to load a fewer number. And those are the pins that are loaded on that. The little interface chip just plugs in. Yeah, there's an H and there's a high and a low version, so don't put it in like that. Get it right. All right, now I'm going to talk a little about this battery. You see this battery clip. You've got to solder this clip on in two places. And the easiest way to do that is to pre-tin the bottom of the battery clip and pre-tin the mounting surface, and then take a wooden clothespin. All right, I'm back. So take this wooden clothespin, cut the end off so it's flat. Cut the end off so it's flat, and then put a slight taper in it so that when it has a PC board in it, it's able to grab it flat. And then look on the side that there's no components. That holds the battery clip in as you solder the other side. And then once the other side is soldered, you can take your clothespin off and solder this side. So I'm going to put it back together. Actually, now these are number 2 screws on the GPS. And I use the same length, well, the same length standoff, which is just the distance of the headers. Make sure you get the right pins inserted, don't get it off one. And then you put nuts. Number 2, it's kind of small hardware, but that's what they did it for. Tighten that down. And then just make sure that the Edison is lined up. It doesn't have anything in pin 1, so this is actually pin 2. If you do load all of the headers in, sometimes it's a little confusing how to put it back in. But when it's done, it should line up for these standoffs. Okay, back to the board. So we've got the Edison, the interface, and the GPS. This chip for the LCD, if you want it, let me know and I'll tell you what it is, and a couple of 100 ohm resistors and the connection that goes off to the LCD. If you want the heel indicator, I believe you have to load this other interface chip and the heel indicator. This is an RS-232 converter, so you can drive the stow display that also goes to this pins. So there's a combination of things. I don't use this anymore. I just use a 4-wide FTDI board. I do use a heel indicator, but it's not really necessary. All right, that's it. Thanks.